Welcome to Barbells, Business and Boobs. We discuss navigating everyday life as lifters, business owners, and being a woman in a male-dominated industry. I'm Brittany.
And I'm Christy. And we're together in Vegas.
It's our first episode we're doing together, finally. And she just got off the plane after a long travel day. We wanted to get this done. It's funny because we did a season finale, and then we were both on the road for the next pretty much month. But I'm so happy she was able to come over, see my house, and a lot has happened. So first and foremost, Christy, what is your new title?
I am a pro middleweight strongwoman. So now we're both pro strongwoman. And this is almost like a full circle moment because Brittany is the first pro strongwoman that I ever followed. And I always really looked up to that title. And I just always thought it was super prestigious. And that was my goal. And now I have it, which is crazy. So really fun. And it was unexpected too, because in my weight class, 160, previously they didn't have pro cards, and now they do. So I'm technically part of the first class of pro 160 strong women. So there's just 3 of us now, and I was the first.
So exciting.
Yeah.
So she had texted me all day. I was watching Strongman Corporation Nationals, trying to follow people's stories, and she did awesome that Friday. She was going into it. Were you still, I think you were tied for first, or what?
Yeah, it was like it was an exciting show. Like it was very back and forth, like between first and second. It was like really a race between first and second, and then third and fourth. We're really battling out, like by point by point by point. And so yeah, it was super exciting.
Will you, in the show notes, you have links to every event, right?
Yeah, I will.
Okay, yeah.
I will. I'll get there.
Because, you can't not see your events. What was your favorite?
My favorite was probably the farmers carries. So I'll definitely go event by event and stuff like that too. But also want to tell before we even get into my stuff, just like to introduce why we want to do this like bonus episodes, because I competed and then Brittany competed. That's why she's out angling right now. I guess you always out angle me, especially your shoulders. But you know what? You just competed too, and your first bodybuilding show in a while, and
I won the overall, which if you go back and listen to our previous episode, Christy and I did one about how that prep was different, but we weren't in the midst of prep yet. Like we still had a few weeks, so our spirits were still up, because I started, obviously, like most competitors do, kind of doubting myself at the end, because I had a goal to win it, just like Christy had a goal to win it, and that was a huge goal for her. So the fact that we both did it is just so exciting, and it goes to show you that, if you train hard and really work at something, like, it sounds corny, but I've been watching her pressing, I've been watching her build that static strength up, and same for me. Like, the way I approached this was I moved cross country, haven't competed for 3 years, but in the back of my mind, I still had this overarching goal. Like, I need to get my legs bigger, and I need to get my lats bigger, so that when I do return to the stage, I made improvements. And I was up 13 pounds from my previous show 3 years ago, and I was leaner. So that's a huge success in itself. And I feel like, honestly, like, I thought I fell in love with Strongman, which I will always have a deep in my heart, but I feel the same exact passion and love for bodybuilding. So it's just the process that I love. So it's so fun when I thought my career was over to fall in love again and feel like I'm a beginner. So
yeah, and it's cool too, because if you've been around to this podcast when we first started, I feel like the first season was a little bit more depressing, like we talked about our injuries and everything we've overcome and moving across country, all that stuff. And we were kind of like in like purgatory where we weren't competing, didn't really know where to go, but we were making improvements. We were still doing what we needed to do in order to kind of come out today and have that clarity and actually achieve a goal and have kind of a plan for the rest of the year or where we want to go, with our training now. So congrats to us.
Yeah.
It's just so cool that we both were able to pull out the win, which I obviously knew you would. But
Well, stop. No. And so I didn't get to finish the story too.
okay.
So I was following along. I had a couple clients competing and she killed it day one. And then that day two was Saturday. She was doing good, but I didn't hear from her. And then I was finishing up my like cardio and steps for the day. And it was kind of late here. And I'm like, so, and then she texted me the news and I was like, welcome to the club. Like, I feel like I knew it too. But the fact that you told me offline, like Brittany, like I don't even care about the Arnold. Like all I'm focused on is nationals. It's in my, neck of the woods. I don't have to travel for it. I want to win this. So
yeah, and I think it's the first time I've ever said that. I've always just been like, I want to do good at the Arnold. I want to do good at nationals, but I knew it was in the cards for me. But so I almost feel like teary eyed right now, and because when I did find out I won, wasn't really emotional, didn't really set in even when I was like saying it, and I think a lot of people have that feeling too when you accomplish a goal that you've had in mind where, well, life is still the same, right? It's not like there was no big like party in the streets or anything like that, but like having a few weeks removed from it, having perspective and just being here like makes me want to cry a little bit. Just because Brittany reminds me of everything that I've been through.
I love this so much.
I know. We've talked about everything we've been through together. So whether, is being a pro strong woman going to be like, like you're, you're the president of the United States or like a big, huge deal. No, but like it's, at least a tangible thing where I say, oh, I accomplished that. And it was all my hard work, did pay off because it's been a very years of journey. And some of those years have been very painful, but also, very great too. So it's not like, oh, it's been just so hard. Oh, like, woe is me. But it's been, so yeah, it still hasn't really settled in. I guess right now is the moment it's settled in a little bit the most. Not really the title, but just like, oh, I did it, so.
It's pretty surreal. And I remember it was kind of like you when I went to turn pro, there was the year before, I just missed it from a stupid, like, if you're a strongman fan, technique matters. I put the keg on half an inch wrong at the Arnold's on the mat, and the judge was like, sorry, it doesn't count. So I went from being first to last, and my overall score was fourth, and the top two got a pro card. And that whole year, I trained with a purpose. I kept getting hurt, and I told myself, though, if I do not come back with a pro card this year, then I know it's time to step away. So the fact that I saw you kind of go through the same thing, and, if you have been following the podcast, like Christy said, like our episodes were a little bit depressing, but I think it's a testament to show, because I think people might look at athletes like us or look at anyone on social media they admire and think like, oh, they're lucky, they have it easy, when that is not the case. If anything, it almost makes it harder having to have a social media presence, because we feel this, and I don't mean to speak for you, but I think we feel like this need to be a good athlete. We both have clients that look up to us and people that look up to us, and we feel like this need to, portray ourselves in a certain light. I feel like I can't even talk because I get a little emotional too, because it is hard. And, not everyone has what it takes. I feel confident enough to say it now, because I used to think like, oh yeah, anyone can do it. No, like you have to be willing to sit with yourself on those lows. Like it's not all glory, but it's worth it, So.
Right. No, it's, yeah, it's definitely been a journey, and now we kind of have a point where we have a little direction to keep going on our journey. So I'm really excited about it. Sorry, I lost my train of thought, but
no, it's okay.
So for my events, like it was really, I was feeling good actually the whole prep. I was feeling great, like almost too good. And my weight cut was really easy. I was like, this is great. And so I kind of learned how to have like faith in my training and my process.
It looked like you hit PRs on nearly like every push press log session.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I was feeling really good. I was like, all right, I'm feeling great. And so, but going to the contest was weird because we started with a bag toss, which was for max height, and it was a new implement. And for me, bag toss has never like event I'm going to win. And I'm not going to get very excited about it. So it's kind of weird to get into like the mindset of like the show. And I tied for third in that. So it was a little bit of just like, eh, you know. And then the second event was Conan's wheel. And what's funny is like I knew I like could pull it out, but I still was kind of like I was like, what if these girls can just do you know, like I was still like since I didn't knew I wasn't gonna prove myself in the sandbag toss, because I was trying to like say like, hey, I am on today, like I do have this in me, but the Conan's wheel I end up winning by what I say is like a lot, but you know, when it's like maybe like a half rotation or something like that. So that was really exciting.
The Conan's wheel looked painful. Like all the competitors looked like,
oh my
it just looked like it hurt.
It is. I'm like, I guess I could just endure pain a lot. But that was really exciting, but also it was like scary because it was scary because like at first Conan's wheel was supposed to be first, and I signed up, was one of the first people to sign up. So I'd be able to go pretty much last in the Conan's wheel and just know how far I could go. But I knew I had to go just till, because the girls I competed against were really good. I knew the girl who had I was going to probably be, you know, going at it with, Jenny Draper, shout out to her, because she was really leading the way the first day. And that's who I was battling out with, and it was really fun. But I knew she'd be good at Conan's wheel too. And she got second in that event, but I just went and went. But afterwards, my legs were so dead, and I knew I had deadlifts next. And I was like, oh no, because everyone's good at deadlifting too. And like, you know me, like I have had those back problems before. Day one at the Arnold, my last Arnold a couple years ago, deadlifts were on the first day. And I ended up that night waking up in the middle of the night and not be able to walk.
Yeah. Scroll down to see our injuries episode, because she goes into the whole story about how she literally woke up in the middle of the night and couldn't walk.
So deadlift events on day one for me are historically not good. Now, this is where I talk about something where I'm like, should I talk about it or not? Because it's a little bit of a dramatic story, and it's something that I put out of my mind a little bit in order to get to the prep. But you know about it because I texted you after. I said, oh my God, this one thing happened to me. I had to go to the ER.
Yes.
So the way I kind of funnily chalked it up in my mind with deadlifts was, let me back it up.
Yeah, talk about why you went.
So the week that I was supposed to, or the week that I did my heaviest pull for my prep,
which was what, 12 days out?
Yeah, it was a few weeks out. I ended up going to the ER in the middle of the night because I had passed out and I hit my head, and I actually passed out twice. And there's a lot of other crazy details that made the situation like really scary. And this actually came about because in the middle of the night, Gary and I were woken up by our Doberman screaming in pain because she was stuck. She tried to jump on her bed and her leg was stuck in her bed, and it looked like broken. She was like contorted. So we got up really quickly and helped her out. Luckily she was okay. But that like abrupt wake up in the middle of the night and my heart racing, I walked over to the other side of the room and I passed out like this and hit my head. Mind you, this is the morning of my bachelorette party that my friends were putting on for me, the Guy Fieri party. But
I'm not laughing. I know. Irony.
And okay, so this whole thing ended up not being a big deal. I'll get there because it was just a random thing. But in my head, I was very confused. I don't know if you've ever passed out before.
Yeah.
It's very confusing. Gary's like, Gary runs over, you passed out. You know, we go to the bathroom, I pass out again. I'm really not all there. I start hyperventilating and I think I'm dying because I'm like confused. And so we end up going to the ER and everything was fine. It was one of those things where like if you see blood and you faint, the vasovagal nerve thing is completely random, but I had hit my head. I was really shaken up. I did go to my Guy Fieri bachelorette party later that day. The next day we went hiking, and then I was like, I'm going to take Monday off. But I had this kind of fear in me that I was going to pass out again. Like I could barely drive. I was kind of like, I was trying to challenge myself. Okay, go hiking, like go in the car, like do this and that. But that happens Saturday, very early morning. And then Tuesday I did my heaviest pull, which was 445. And it was like actually way easier than what I did in my competition. But I kind of had that fear in me. I don't know. Have you ever had like something happen to you where you're like kind of like scared again? Like, what if I pass out, or what if that happens again, or what if I get sick? Like, I had that fear, but the whole time Gary was like, "No, it's not a big deal. Like, the doctor said you're fine. Like, give yourself a day. Like, you're okay," which really helped me because I think if I was alone, I would have spiraled. Because it was so weird. One moment you think you're dying, even though it was not anywhere near a death situation or even that much emergency. It was more of a panic attack after the me passing out. But I did think I was going to die. I remember thinking like, what a lame way to die. Because I'm like hyperventilating. You know, Gary's there saying me this is a vulnerable moment. It's not a beautiful death. I'm like, my bachelorette party's here. My family's coming later. I'm like, damn it, I'm going to miss nationals, all this stuff. And then even like, maybe I will live, but I have to miss nationals because I hit my head pretty hard. I didn't know what's going on. But a few days later, I hit 445 and I was like, all right. So
guess I'm there.
Yeah. And then I'm like, whatever. I'm like, all right. And moving on with life. Think you're dying. And then like you move on. And all my vitals stuff are fine. They're just like, it was just more of like, you were a lady who fainted. So I'm like, all right.
In my perspective, because I had texted her, I'm like, hey, like, haven't heard from you, haven't seen you, like, what's, like, everything okay? And she's like, sorry, this is going on. Like, I'm like, okay. And I kind of like read it and I was like, I kind of laughed because I was like, this would only happen during a prep. Like, it's not a successful prep unless you have one moment where shit hits the fan. And Christy, near-death experience is shit hitting
Not
the fan.
near-death experience.
Well, you thought you were going to die.
I was like, I'm dying. And they're like, you just passed out. My vitals were great. I don't know, whatever. But I will say before the deadlift, I said, well, in my head, I said, okay, well, I hit that deadlift 2 days after I thought I'd almost died and it hit my head. I probably had a concussion. So I can do this now with dead legs. I will not gonna lie, I had some ugly, ugly pulls, but I made it happen. I was able to tie for first with Jenny and my friend Savannah, which was really fun because we trained together sometimes. She's actually one of the girls, actually two girls, compete against two girls who put on my bachelorette party. One's my client, one's my friend. I mean, one's my client and friend, one's my friend. So it was like a fun moment. And it was so ugly, but I got done with the 440. And I celebrated so hard. And I ran over to Gary and he was like, all right, 455 next. And I just said like, fuck you. And I was like laughing. And he's like, do you have another attempt? I forgot I had another attempt.
Oh, that meant so happy.
That meant Jenny also had another attempt. So I'm like, oh man.
I shouldn't be celebrating.
Her 440 looked really good. She's probably going to get this, but we both didn't get it. So yay.
Tied on that.
So we tied on that. But, I was like, all right, I guess I got to try. So she's up by 1 point, day one. And like, it was so weird though. Cause I know with Strongman how the points work and stuff like that. And I know that I could by the whole prep. So Gary was coaching me and he's like, my support, but he's never like, this is yours, you're going to win. Some people, there's relationships and that works for them of like, this is your, like, I almost kind of question him, like, does he think I have what it takes to win? And then when I would tell myself, well, I don't need him to think that, right? But I did ask him, like, closer. I was like, do you think I could win? He's like, yeah, of course. Like, I think you have, like, like a chance of winning, or like you're one of the people who can win, just to give me, like, less pressure on myself. So I wasn't like, oh, like, it was so weird. I wanted to be first going to bed that first day, but I wasn't. So going the second day, I was kind of just like, okay, Isn't that weird?
No, it's
like if you're used to just being first, and then you're like,
yeah,
okay. And then I was like, and the girl I was going against, I knew she was, I heard that she was really good, so I was like, all right, maybe she's really good, and but we were close, and so you can't really give up. So I was just focused on my events and overhead event with 5 bars, ascending weights. I got to go against, in the last heat, And
For the record, too, because I've commentated and watched so many
Mhm.
shows, this was the heaviest nationals overhead press for her weight class that I've ever seen. The final axle was 185.
185, yeah.
That's I've seen
Yeah.
200 usually is at the pro
Yeah.
shows, and they're not always getting it. So
Yeah.
this was the heaviest press I've
Right.
seen at an amateur national event.
And I was really excited because I did the medley with all bars at 165 pounds for like in like 45 seconds or less in training. And the bars are actually only from 125, but then you send weight to 185. So accumulatively, that would be harder. But my last week of training, I was feeling really run down, and I like missed, like kind of hit my belt on 185 on the clean. And so I had to kind of like, you know, I never totally finished the medley. I kind of went back into the last two bars, but I hit the medley really clean. And so it should be really exciting, but I'm locking out the bar and I'm having to press out the bar. And just an extra second, Jenny had a perfect run and I was off by 0.1.
0.1.
So
for the
yeah.
placing.
So, and all the other things I got second when I was off by just like 6 inches or 0.1, or, you know what I'm saying? So it was like,
neck and neck.
It was neck and neck. So what was really exciting was the farmer carries. Everyone going into this event was kind of just like nervous because training was really hard. So we had to do 210 pounds for 80 feet, turning at 40 feet. And the turn is what made it hard.
Yeah, turning with the farmer.
210 was already pretty heavy for us. But I remember at Nationals or Arnold, just like a few years, or 2020, we just did 205 per hand for 50 feet, like just straight. So no one's training went good for this. And actually someone's coach said, like, they're like, oh, you know, we're kind of talking about it. Like, oh, we don't know how this event's going to go. And he said, Farmers is your worst event, right? And I was like, I don't know. I was like, what?
They said that to you when?
Yeah, before it.
Right before it?
Yeah, so I was like, is this my worst event? I don't know. But I picked the weight and I was like, this feels good. So I just started imagining myself, like, I was like, you know, like getting like already and like being like almost like so braced and just imagining how light the weight would feel. And I crushed it.
Yeah.
I won by like what I think is a lot. So that was like the most exciting event.
Two things there too. On our last episode, you were going to do your farmers because the day prior you had to skip them because it was raining out. So again, it just shows that you never skip your training. Everything matters when you're prepping for nationals.
But I had bad days with farmers too. And everyone did.
Yeah. It's a grip. When you're fatigued, your grip is going to be the first thing to go. So especially in training, I don't think that you can ever truly judge any type of carry until you deload.
Yeah.
Because your grip's just going to be fried for Strongman. And secondly, the fact that someone said that to you is pretty funny because the day I won my pro card, right before I did stones, which secured my win, a competitor who wasn't even competing said to me, hey, you better be careful. She's a beast at stones, like my competitor. And I go, so am I. So I love that you just stopped and you questioned yourself for a moment, then you got right back.
But everyone was doubting themselves then. So I'm like, I don't know how this will work because I finished the run in training, but like I dropped in the middle of the turn. It was like messy, and I was just like, I don't know. I still felt good. I was like, all right, I feel good, so I'll be good. And then I just went crazy at the end, like screaming and stuff, being embarrassing because I was just so pumped because I just was so happy about my performance. It was like so fun. Like I could believe, but I also like, man, like that felt so much easier than I expected. Like that, I think that's why I was so excited. And like to like, not like just lose by 0.1 point or win by 0.1 little blip, you know, like really crush that event. You know, in my eyes, I was like, okay, I crushed it like by maybe 5 seconds or whatever it was in the lead. And that's a lot for the farmer event. So I was happy because I was like, it's just fun. Like, okay, so with the press event, I kind of stopped myself there. I should have been like, I could have celebrated that forever. It was just me and Jenny who finished that. No one else finished the press.
2 girls out of how many were in your class?
13.
So only 2 out of 13 were able to finish it.
And so I should have been like, yay. And then I wanted to like run to Gary because Gary, like my overhead press has come so far and we're like really excited about it. It's like a fun thing. Like, oh, this is like, you know, your event. It's going to be so fun. Like it'd be so cool to win the overhead event and be like, yes, my overhead's really good now. And if you get second, like it doesn't feel as well good. And so when I finished it, it was just like, yeah, oh, I kind of look over, I'm like, oh, and I even put I feel bad. I apologize later. I gave Jenny a hug. I was like, congratulate her. But I was like, God damn it. And I was like laughing, like, God damn it. Like, probably should have been like, great job. But I was like, God damn it. But I was like laughing, she took it a compliment. But yeah, it just goes to show, I'm like, if I just went a little bit faster. So there's no celebration there. So it's a little bit pent up of like, I want to win. And I was just like, oh yes, I won. So that put me in the lead by 3 points, that event. So I got lucky there, just with all the point mix up. But the sandbag, I knew that we'd both be able to finish quickly. And she did beat me on that last event, but it wasn't enough. I still kept my lead by 1 point because I think I got third event. I never dropped below third, and that's why I won. So that was really exciting, but it was so nerve-wracking because we're so close. They were like, wait around. You might need a tiebreaker because we don't know what the points are. And they won't do the tiebreaker to the end. And I've had experienced tiebreakers before where it was very traumatic. I actually had won the event or won the show. And I don't like to go over this too much, but I won the show. Then they made us do the tiebreaker because the points were wrong. And I lost the tiebreaker. So it really sucks. So I'm like, I don't want to do a tiebreaker. And because it also was really tired. And I was coaching 2 clients. So one of the clients and my friend that I was helping out were after me. So I was like, I had a lot going on. So they said, we have no need for tiebreaker, but we don't know, you know what, we don't say like the placings until the night,
so you had to wait a couple hours.
You had to wait. Yeah. Oh yeah. Like for a long time.
That's why you didn't text me. I was like, she should know by now.
Yeah. Like they waited a long time for awards because everything went over. But when they said there shouldn't be a tiebreaker, I like knew like I probably won, but I'm not going to say I did because I've done that before and I didn't win or lost or tied or, it was messed up, so, but I felt like I didn't really even, I cared, but I didn't really care. I was like really at peace. I was really happy. I had a really fun time. Like the most fun I ever had competing. It was in Greenville. It was awesome. Like I did good. I was proud of my performance. I wasn't super upset at anything. I felt good. My body didn't hurt at all.
That's impressive.
So I was just a little bit tired. And so, yeah, we go to the banquet and they are like, we have a surprise. Like there's me, 160 is going to have a pro class. And I was like, oh my God. And so me, Jenny, and then my friend Savannah actually all got our pro cards. So that was awesome.
Yeah, that's a huge highlight.
Yeah.
You'll never forget that moment ever.
Yeah. And you know what, guys? I'm so glad because in 2022 nationals or 2021, I did 160 subclass. They didn't have a pro class. I got third. So technically I would have been a pro then, but I was not ready. Like I am so much stronger now. I was beating my head against the wall at that point to do the weights. I'm ready now and I'm healthy now. So it's like, it would suck to not be able to compete in amateur at that point if I became pro then. So, and now it's cool to be like part of the first pros of the class. So, and it's just, everything was perfect. It being there, Gary coaching me and everything like that. It was just a really good moment. So yeah, I'm really happy. And now next thing is the Arnold. Yeah.
So the Arnold is your next thing. And then, So is that a pro show?
So normally, when you become pro, you can't do the Arnold in your, weight class. You have to go up a weight class.
Yeah.
But they give you like that. If you win nationals or turn pro at nationals, they give you that one last shot at that same year Arnold.
Okay.
So I will still be at amateur 160.
Okay. And then you'll kind of reconvene from there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And plus, like doing good at the Arnold is super exciting.
Yeah, that's what I really want to do. Because I remember my goal was like, I really had my sights on just nationals because I, it was like in reach. And now I'm going to have to, adjust my goals to be inside the Arnold. But it's really like first things first. I think a lot of people look over the nationals, but I really love the new regional, they have regionals, nationals, and the Arnold. Because it really helps you get ready for those amount of weights, especially if you're newer. A lot of people are rushing the Arnold and stuff like that. And they get there and they're zeroing events, which is fine. You should get experience, stuff like that. But it's like don't rush it. And also don't rush to be pro, you know?
Yeah, if you don't like the process, then you don't belong in the
Yeah.
sport because it is a long, lengthy up and down process.
Yeah. So I hope I didn't sound like too much of a dick because I'm explaining my like experience of like I felt, you know, like you ever feel
That was a lot of
like
emotions.
okay, yeah, it's a lot of
Yeah.
emotions because it's like um I guess it's new for me to feel like confident and proud of myself and be able to talk about this like, you know,
Well, you're a pro, so
yeah,
yeah,
I'm a pro. So um but yeah, I'm excited for that.
it should
But
be.
it was a really tough competition. Congrats. Also to Jenny, who I was going head to head with, you know, a lot, which is exciting. That's what makes it fun. Um, so
Yeah. So I guess I'll talk a little bit about my prep. So we all have that one nightmare story in prep. You passed out after the emergency room. Mine was a few, like just when, like I did a long prep, very long, because I also kind of, as I talked about in the previous episode, for the first time in my life, like I wasn't diligently tracking everything. Still training religiously, no doubt about that. But I wasn't aware of every morsel I was putting in my body and just kind of stopped taking progress pictures and stuff. So I did a 20-week prep. And right when it started to get really hard, definitely in a caloric deficit, feeling it, at about 9 weeks out, I crashed my entire Google Drive. And I had actually written a whole book I had planned to publish. So I guess lesson learned, like, don't keep things, just publish them. And I couldn't recover it. And my whole business had been on there for years. So there was a lot of stress. And I kept kind of downplaying it, like, whatever, it's just a book. And my partner, Anthony, my boyfriend, was like, no, you're allowed to be sad. Like, that was a whole, oh, you put your heart and soul into that. And I was like, yeah, I did. And I was pretty upset. So that was kind of my nightmare prep story. I was like, whatever, just got to keep going. But then prep started to get really hard. Like, I went into it very confident. And then also, just like you, I had my partner coaching me, and he was kind of the opposite of Gary, where he believed in me almost like too much, because I was like, don't hype me up. I don't like to be hyped up. I like competition. Like, I almost am it goes back to childhood stuff, but I almost do better if you tell me like you suck, like, because I want to
yeah,
prove to you like, oh no, I can do it. But he was like hyping me up. He's like, you look like a pro. And everywhere we went, which was kind of it was a confidence booster, but at the same time, it made me feel not good about myself. Like when I
mm-hmm.
was at check-in, someone's like, "Oh, you're in the wrong line. You're a pro," and I was like, "No, I'm not." And which is great. I'm glad that my physique looks like it's pro level worthy. I've been working on it for so long, but I am still like new to bodybuilding. But then, yeah, like 4 weeks out, I started. It's a lot of things. It's like the hormone when your estrogen crashes. I was just so tired and I couldn't really sleep. So my mental health started to go down, which happens on prep. And I was trying so hard to stay positive and like journal. And, I live with my partner. We both work from home, and he was like so excited. And I wasn't living up to my own expectation of, I have this like rule where I try to, it might sound a little silly sharing this, but I'll just be honest. Like every day I'm like, okay, if I can make a difference in one person's life and like be a light to them, like I try so hard to do that. And I couldn't do it for myself. Like, I was waking up, just going for my walks, just doing my cardio. And I just felt like, I don't know if I belong. I don't know if I'm a competitor anymore. Like I started having those doubts. Like this used to be my life. Like I should have mourned that loss. I don't know why I'm doing it again. But I was like, I said I was going to do this, so I'm going to finish it, and then I'll probably be done. And then when I, got to like the deload and then started to actually see my legs come in, and the day of the competition, compared to like Strongman or anything else I've ever done, I'm so calm. Like I purposely worked ahead so I could allow myself 48 hours. Just, I had like client, just small little client things, but I wasn't like sitting on my computer. So I was just taking that time to try to like run through how I wanted to look, how I wanted to pose. The most important aspect of competing in physique competitions for me is the part that's not even judged at the amateur level. So in the morning you have prejudging, which is where they decide. You come back for the night show, and the judges already know who's gonna place what, or where. But you have a 60-second routine. And to me, that was the part that I was the most terrified of when I first entered the bodybuilding world, because I had done strongman and strength sports and rowing and track. I'm like, I'm clumsy. Everyone knows I was the clumsiest athlete ever. And I have to go on stage and basically pose and like dance like naked. Like, what? So,
Oh my
but it
gosh.
turns out that ended up being my favorite part of the whole experience because it challenged me to something I was so scared of. And you get to pick your song, and lyrics are something. When I was younger and I was a runner and kind of just a loner and a weird kid, listening to music is really what fueled me to kind of find inspiration. Like, I read books and I read lyrics, and that was my source of motivation. So when I pick a song, I had a physique playlist that I've had for several years. So the song I always pick is the most important to me. And like, I wouldn't tell Anthony, like, just tell me your song. And I'm like, nope. And it was just lyrics really resonated with me. And I feel like I killed my routine. And it's something that, like, I look at the pros doing it and I'm like, they're doing splits and back handsprings on stage. And like, I'm not there yet, but it's a huge win for me to like get compliments on my routine and people to tell me like how feminine I look, because I just still can't believe that like I can do that, because I had this vision of myself like I'm just some clumsy girl that walks like
Yeah.
a linebacker.
What did you think when you saw videos and pictures of yourself on stage?
I already knew that I was going to look good because, like I said, I spent the 2 days prior like going through my routine. Like, I practiced the routine. Like, I practiced every single day. I take notes for exactly how it's supposed to look. I bullet point them for where like my hand goes, exactly what to do. And I just knew I was going to kill it. Like, I almost pretend, like, you know how you said you go through the event and saw
Mm-hmm.
yourself lifting the farmer's light? I was like, I'm going to wow the judges. They're going to be like, who is this girl? So that's kind of what I
That's
just did.
such a different form of confidence for me, because like I'm getting nervous imagining myself do that, which is weird because I did palms like and dance and stuff growing up. Did you do that stuff?
So I did ballet once. I was a sugar plum fairy, and I remember like they put me way in the back because I was too afraid. Even at practice once, we had to like go and spin, and I didn't want to spin. And my instructor was like, Brittany, you can't just like run through it. And I was like, I guess I can. I just
Oh
ran.
my gosh. Yeah, because like it's so funny next time. Like I haven't would be weird. I think maybe like people have dreams of like accidentally being on stage naked or something, or showing up to work naked. And it's kind of like what you're doing, you're up there obviously prepared for it, but you're really just showing your all like to
Yeah.
people, and saying judge me, and then like look at me, look at my routine. So that would be, now I'm like, we were talking about earlier, if I was like, maybe one day I'll do a show like when I'm done with Strongman. And now I'm like, that would be a challenge. I think like, I don't think I think about that routine part. I think mostly the dieting usually. But yeah, like the actual performance is obviously a huge part of it. You can't just go up there and just stand there.
Yeah. I mean, the dieting is what it is. There's definitely days where it is very, very hard. I think working from home, this prep was
Yeah.
much. So this prep, I always reflect on different preps, and I try to give myself, I always take notes on everything, because I think it's really part of the athlete experience is how can you improve? So I always take notes of things that I didn't do so well, things I did good, so I can review them. And like I said, my mindset kind of got pretty shitty towards the end, and I wasn't proud of that. But now I feel like a competitor again. So I know that on those really low hungry days for my next show, now it's like I have something that's giving me drive. Because before I was kind of like, should I really be doing this? Like, it was kind of just almost like a soft entrance into competing again, because I'm really proud that my partner and I did this together. Like, we collaborated, we did this together because I wanted to do it healthy. And any sport at a high level, when you push it, is not healthy. But especially as a woman, I've struggled with my hormones before. After my last show, I really, 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 I never had any hormone issues until my first show, where I just dug myself into the ground. And I didn't trust myself. Like, I wanted to speak up and tell someone like, hey, like, I really think that's a little too low. But I was so new that I just wanted to listen. So being able to have a voice and know my body, and then trust what my partner told me to do, because that's still the hardest part for me, is actually like, I'm one of those people, like, everyone says push, intensity. And for most people that's true, but I am someone that needs to do less. I do too much. Like, I won't sleep. I will just go, go, go. And I know from an education standpoint that that's not good. Like, scientifically, that's going to drive my cortisol up. I'm gonna look worse. My hormones are going to crash. But it's almost just like an anxiety for me that I push so much. So I was really proud of what we brought. And like I said, I feel like it's just the beginning. I can't wait to, I'm competing in nationals, and I truly feel, I don't mean to sound cocky, but I don't feel like I have much competition, and I'm eager to get to that pro level to then see what I can do. So I'm
See
excited.
the competitors coming out.
Yeah.
But you make good points too, because like, if I didn't have Gary, I couldn't really coach myself on my own because I would beat my head against the wall and be lifting all the heavy weights. Like, if you doubt yourself, it's harder you need someone to like bounce things off of and something to rein you back, especially if you're like Brittany, like she's the hardest worker, like she trains as hard as possible. Like if you don't like rein you back, like you're just gonna like
Burnout.
yeah. And so it's like, there's some people you have to rein back and some people you kind of have to push forward. But if you have you are going to doubt yourself in preps at times. For a day you might look a little more bloated, or a day where I drop the farmers and stuff like that. So it's good that we have good support. That's something that's new, I think, for both of us. And then trying to do things in a healthier way rather than a way that we would try to make or have our own clients do, rather than just like what we like to do for just our own mental sake. And also just like training's fun. It's
How has your mindset changed? Because we talked a lot about on the episode before, and now that we competed, I think it's a good question to revisit. When you say like do it as healthy as possible, has your mindset towards that changed from powerlifting Christy 9 years ago versus now, like 20s versus 30s?
Yeah, definitely age, and knowing that there is more outside of life too, like being involved in different communities that were like doing different things, like traveling and hiking, and like still what we've talked about this before. Pain puts a lot of stuff in perspective. Like if I can wake up, like I don't want to live in pain for the rest of my life, and I kind of thought I would, because I was in pain for like, so long, meaning like a couple years for sure, like constant. So that makes me think a lot differently too. And not putting as much pressure on me. Like, of course, I wanted to go pro and I wanted to win. And I did put pressure on myself, but I don't like spiral into it all, because I don't think that's all what my worth is set on anymore. I think I've gone through that kind of exposure therapy of like, okay, like you're injured, so, but guess what? Your clients still respect you and they still go to you, like, oh, like I had to take off strongman for a while, but it's like, okay, well, still people want to learn from you, or, you can still train and stuff like that. So that perspective, also, I just spent a lot of time just trying to get stronger. So I feel like I'm not trying to just like catch up. It's like, okay, the weights and the goals that I have are more tangible, and I'm really focused on my own performance. And earlier when I said like Gary wasn't like hyping me up, it's more so not like you're going to win, it's yours. It was more like he does hype me up, but it's on specific events. I always have goals for my events and really focus it on like what I can do in my PRs and stuff like that. And now I proved myself that technique worked, because I pulled off the win, because like, I was just trying to get as best as I can. I actually made little keychains. Should have brought you one. I'll mail you one.
Yeah.
Bought ones for my friends and clients who competed. It said better than ever, because I had a lot of people at their first nationals, and I actually took 2 clients to their first nationals. And it's very scary going in that environment when you're like, what if I get last out of all these people, or I don't finish something? But it's like, but holy shit, like they got so much stronger in this prep, like making all these PRs. And if you don't focus on like that, like Gary what kind of sparked it is Gary said like, well, are you stronger than ever? And I was like, yeah. I'm like, okay, like that's enough. And I can see that. It's really hard to see it when you're like, not the winner.
Yeah.
So better than ever, like that kind of became like my motto, like better than ever. And so I made these little like glitter keychains that say better than
You should
ever.
sell those.
Yeah.
I love that.
I'm gonna send you one, but
Yeah, thank you.
because
Better than ever.
it's, yeah, better than ever. Like, you don't have best ever, but if you're better than ever, I mean, you really can't complain. You got to be happy for yourself, because there's always gonna be someone better than you. So
Yeah.
if you're better than ever, like, that is a great place to be. Oh my God. Like, even like mentally, like, or like just in life, better than that, you can apply it to so many things, and you're like, all right, well, okay, everything's good then. I'm better than
Yeah.
ever. And that's how I felt this prep. Like, I was better than ever. So I think that's why I was so happy walking away, even not knowing if I won or not. Cause I was like, damn, I did that. I did pretty good. Like, and I'm better than ever. And I don't hurt. And I was barely sore afterwards. I felt awesome.
Yeah, that's an
I was like,
incredible one.
okay, cool.
I kind of did something similar. I think this is kind of cool. I want to grab my notes to actually read it out loud so that everyone, but like, not that you wouldn't believe what I say, but like, I really do think that taking notes is so important for any athlete. Like, if you want to take it relatively seriously, and it doesn't say better than ever, but it's similar, because I'm pulling it up. Maybe we can edit this part out. Okay. So here are all, like, I know it's not strong, but these are all notes I take on my prep, and like, but I put my Sunday, I wrote this on Sunday, August 29th, when I was about a month out, exactly a month out, and really just kind of like feeling fatigued, not sure if I was worthy. And I said, like, my only goal is to display my growth, not just in my physique, but in my overall character. And my lyrics to the song said, "Why would anyone put chains on me?" And this was my comeback to the stage after uprooting my life. And like I said, I thought, and my boyfriend said this to me, he goes, "I feel like you kind of had a victim mentality and mourned the loss. You said you were done with strongman, done with competing, and you like lost that fire." And I was like, I really did like lose who I was as a person. And I haven't really liked Vegas all that much, because nothing feels like home if I don't have a true purpose in life. And my sister-in-law, Corey, congratulated me, and I was like, thank you. And I could kind of admit for the first time, I don't know if this is healthy or not, but it works for me. It helps me be a better person. Like, I need to compete to be the best version of myself. That's just who I am. I've been an athlete since I was a 5. It was just an escape for me. And now it's my career. And I'm all of a sudden like not afraid to say that. I thought like just had to be a coach. There's going to be more to life, but no, like, I'm an athlete and I always will be. I will always do something. Even if I have to take a couple of years to train, like, I will always do something. It is just what gets me up in the morning. So yeah.
Oh my gosh. It really, like, it's just crazy. I can't believe, even last year, just we sounded so different. So I think a lot has changed mentally. I know physical changes have happened, but like, obviously, but would you say a little bit more of positive thinking too, and like kind of rearranging, like, from the victim mentality to like, just like trying to, like, for me, like, I used to struggle finding gratitude, and we've talked about this before, like, how do you become like more just grateful for the little things and stuff like that. I don't know. I think a lot of it was my mind shift on things, um, that helped me kind of get out of that. Yeah, just slowly, like,
My mindset's changed a lot because what I'm grateful for has changed a lot.
hmm
So I'll admit it. I used to kind of like the attention and like winning.
hmm
And I thought it was really cool that like I could just lift and, get sponsorships and make it my job. And I was like, that's so cool. And now none of that makes me excited. If
hmm
anything, I wish I didn't have to do that. What makes me excited though is competing and meeting people, and like thinking about, like, when you sent me your wedding invite, I was like, if it wasn't for competing and that stuff, I never would have met. So it's definitely the community and the people. And then also just knowing, like, I hate when people tell me like, "Oh, you're amazing." It's like, I am not. I can be a train wreck. So, but if I can do it, like, so can you. So I think that's the part that I think really,
Yeah,
really fuels
right.
me.
Yeah, seriously. You can, and it's probably just going to take longer than you want it to.
Yeah.
Like I started competing in strength sports in 2014, and I started lifting in 2012. I know you've done a lot longer too, but and there's also different phases. You can switch sports. You can have a new passion.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm excited. So you're competing in March, which I'll be there.
Yes.
I actually
Yay.
might. So my goal is to win nationals and get my pro
Mhm.
card. And then I'll be taking a year, probably 9 months to a year to like really grow into a pro. Cause I know I don't have like, until you get hard, like stage lean a couple times, you just don't have that like grainy look to you. And that's where I want to get. So it's going to take me a little bit of time. That's why I love it though. It's like, got to be patient. But then I also kind of started dabbling with arm lifting.
Oh yeah.
And I might do that at the Arnold.
You should. Didn't you break the record?
No, I didn't.
Almost
I was
broke the
close.
record.
Yeah, I was like 5 pounds off, but I was pretty easy. I didn't train for it.
Yeah.
I
Do
also,
it. It'd be so fun.
My goal though is win my pro card for women's physique. And then I've been putting off a couple surgeries. So I'm just, it's funny because now that I competed, I'm like, oh, I can handle surgery, no problem. But before it was like this daunting thing. Like, I don't want to go through recovery. Now I'm like, I want to get surgery because then I won't have to work around the issues as much. So I'm excited to probably get those done in January.
Yeah. Well, I'm just going to prep for the Arnold and also getting married.
Yeah.
After that.
I would say right after.
Pretty much a couple months after. Yeah.
March, April, May. Yeah. So like, yeah, that's like another little prep after.
I know. I need to be prepping right now.
Oh my God. Yeah. So much. So it means the world, like when Christy told me people listen to our podcast and when I was the Shaw Classic, like the fact that you guys
nationals
listen,
people were saying that too.
So thank you. And we are both kind of on the road for the next month. Like our life is crazy. So if we can still train, you can too. But you're headed to Arizona after this weekend. I have 3 back-to-back East Coast weddings and a couple other things, but we're going to try to resume. I think we have a date. We have a date in the calendar already, believe November, I want to say.
We'll meet in November, and I think we'll launch in January.
Yeah.
Or December.
So this is just a fun episode. We had to come on to share the news.
Yeah. You guys missed a lot.
Yeah. Well, anyways, thank you so much for listening. And please, please share this episode with someone that might be doubting if they want to compete or if they're, kind of on the verge of giving up. Because it takes years. So anything else you want to say? Any parting words?
Nope. Come see us at the Arnold.
Yes, come see us at the Arnold. Thank you, guys.